Hey book lovers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mar, and one thing about me is that I am a collector of many things. And being a collector of many things and being a fan of many things usually means I have no money. I also have no room in my house to continue to collect things. For today's video, I thought that I would just go through sort of the book reorganization I have for my bedroom and all of that. And also, if you are a regular viewer of mine, you may have noticed I cut my hair. I got it chopped. I was getting sick of it. It was like down to here at least. I have naturally wavy hair, and when it comes to just doing anything hair related, it takes me twice as long if my hair is down to here. So, decided to go for a chop, and I am loving it. And I thought it's like, I don't know, it just makes me feel like older, if you know what I mean. But, anyways, I'm going to show you how I organize my bedroom, my books in this sort of semi small room I have. This is my childhood bedroom. I technically have two rooms in my house. I normally sleep in our guest bedroom, so then this room is more so of like my office, reading space, and all of that now. Most of my stuff is in this room. So I thought I would give you a little tour of sort of just how I organize things. And if you're someone who also has like a small bedroom and all of that and is also a collector of things, maybe you'll get some inspiration from this video. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Also, look at the sunny angel I got the other day. Adorable. Anyways, let's get started with this video. One thing about having a small room means that you also don't have a lot of room when it comes to filming. We'll see how this bookshelf tour turns out. I thought I would take you through my big bookshelf first, and then I'll show how I display books elsewhere in my room. But the first shelf I have, so the top shelf, I have pretty much all my Rick Riordan books. So, one thing about me is Percy Jackson is the book series I fell in love with as a kid. I'm a Percy Jackson girly through and through. Overall, had to give Rick Riordan his own shelf and Percy Jackson his own shelf. So let's start from the beginning. So the first thing I have is my collector's edition of The Lightning Thief. And then behind it, I have the actual series. The first four I have in paperback, and then the last one I have in hardcover. And these are just the books I've pretty much had since I was a kid. These were my brother's books first. That's why they look kind of rough. The next thing I have is the Heroes of Olympus series, and I do like the dynamic shelving for my book case because I think you can just fit a lot more books when it comes to this way. I lie them flat and I start it from the first book. That's just my personal preference. I just like starting it from the first book and then going up. Other people do it the other way around. I have all of the books in the Heroes of Olympus series and then Camp Half Blood Confidential at the top. And then the next book I have is the newest book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. So Rick Riordan has decided to continue the series. There's three books. So the first one was just released this past year or so. And it's just like Percy, Annabeth, and Grover just like going on adventures. Pretty much Percy is trying to apply to college. So it's really fun to read. And then behind this, I have the Trials of Apollo series. So I only have the first three books in physical, but I've read the fourth book in the Trials of Apollo series, and I'm waiting to get the audiobook for the fifth one. So I haven't finished that yet, but overall, I've had a really good time reading it. And then these last books over here, up on top, is the Red Pyramid series, so the Kane Chronicles series. And then I have two books in the Magnus Chase series. I never really got into Magnus Chase, so I don't even think I'll be getting the third. And then finally, I have these aren't Rick Riordan books, but they are part of Rick Riordan Presents. So these ones are the Gifted Clans series, and it's by an author named Gracie Kim, and it's about Korean mythology. If you're interested in reading about Korean mythology and you really liked reading the Percy Jackson series growing up, I highly recommend this book series. It's very nostalgic of Percy Jackson. The next shelf I have is my Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarrow shelf. So, very contrasting shelves already. A lot of people who are starting their reading journeys start off with the most popular books on Book Talk and all of that. And especially when you're trying to get into romance and fantasy and all that, I feel like the first books that people recommend are Sarah J. Maas's books. So, I started collecting the ACOTAR series first. I read that series first, and then I was like, okay, I might as well move on to Throne of Glass. Got the Throne of Glass series, and then I was like, well, I might as well read Crescent City. So got Crescent City. So over here I have ACOTAR and Crescent City, and then this is my collector's edition of Throne of Glass, and I don't have anything behind here just because I am needing to leave room in case future books come. And then finally, Throne of Glass series, and then the Rebecca Yarros book. The next shelf I have, I wouldn't say some of them are my favorite series, others are just young adult series. It's a mix between hardcover and paperback. The first series I have on this shelf is the Caraval Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy by Stephanie Garber, so all my Stephanie Garber books. So yeah, behind here I also have the sticker that is a pill bottle with books in it that says these are my antidepressants. I thought it was funny. The next books I have are these are my Jennifer Lynn Barnes books. So I have her series The Fixer. There's only 2 books in the series, so it's The Fixer and The Long Game. Then of course all of the Naturals. If you know me, I love the Natural series so much, so obviously had to display that here. Then I have Little White Lies. I just ordered the second book, so that should be arriving soon. And then finally, I have Jade City, the Greenbone Saga novel by Fonda Lee. And I have the second book, Jade War, and I'm slowly reading this series. And when I say slowly, I mean like a page a month. That's how slow I'm reading these books. I literally just finished Jade City maybe like before summer started. I'm not in a fantasy mood right now, so hopefully this fall I can fix that. The next series I have are my Chloe Gong books. I love Chloe Gong, and so obviously had to display Foul Lady Fortune, going with a little bit of a pink theme here. And then behind it I switched those 2 books somehow. I have these Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends, and then pretty much everything in the Shanghai, what does she call Secret Shanghai series. And then Immortal Longings is her adult book. So she's releasing the second book in the series this month, I believe, or in September. So very excited about that. The next books I have are just like standalone-ish hardcovers and all that. So the next one I have is Allie Carter, The Blonde Identity, Cassandra Clare, Swordcatcher Babel by R.F. Kuang, My Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, and then Curious Tides by Pascal Sal, which is a YA fantasy book. And this is like one of my favorite fantasy books I read last year, so had to display that. So, yeah, that is sort of this shelf. And now for these bottom 2 shelves, a lot of these are, again, it's a mix of YA and adult, but all of these are young adult hardcovers that I have. Some of them are duologies. So at the bottom, we have Powerless. Then we have A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao. If I Have to Be Haunted by Miranda Sun. A Taste for Love by Jennifer Yen, and then the Warcross duology, and then the Six Crimson Cranes duology. So that's what I have here for hardcovers. The next book I have is Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This was my first Brandon Sanderson novel, and I loved it. Then we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. The rom-commers, Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, V.E. Schwab. These are all like paperback adult ones. Over here, I have my Cruel Prince Collector's Edition. And then behind it is 2 young adult hardcover books. So the first one is The Scarlet Alchemist. The next one, The Queens of New York. And then I have the Icebreaker Maple Hills series, just because I was like, do I want to display that I have Icebreaker or not? Icebreaker, my least favorite novel in the Maple Hill series, but Wildfire and Daydream are genuinely good, you guys. Like, if you are not sure about those books, highly recommend Wildfire and Daydream. Icebreaker can go. And then I have the next 2 books in the Cruel Prince trilogy. And then finally, I have my trilogies and Ali Hazelwood books. So The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Obviously, I read it last fall, broke my heart into a million pieces, and I still have not recovered. Then next I have all my Ali Hazelwood books, so Not in Love, Check and Mate, Love Theoretically, Bride. Those are all the books I have of Ali Hazelwood's. And then I just have a Lynn Painter novel over there because it just like fit the height. And then finally have A Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I tried watching the show, and I could not get into it, so sorry. And then finally we move on to the last shelf. These are all just like a mishmash of things. So I have some nonfiction here, some graphic novels. I have Yellowface by R.F. Kuang, and then Red, White, and Royal Blue, The Long Game, Only a Monster, Parachutes, None Shall Sleep. These are all young adult paperbacks. And then I have my This Time It's Real by Anne Leung. I have some nonfiction books here. This is a BTS book, the BTS Beyond the Story book, and then this is just a random nonfiction book I got for some reason. And then over here, I just have some free space just for more books that I collect. And then over here, all of my Ally Carter books. I love Ally Carter, got all her books, so they are displayed by themselves. And I also love the size of her books. Like, they're not too big, they're not too small. Like, they're the perfect size, I would say, for a book. And then here I just have like random books and series and all that. So I have Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I have the first book in the Shatter Me series, Dance of Thieves, and then One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. And yeah, so that is the big bookshelf I have. I'm just waiting for this to fill up, and I've somehow been able to move things around in my room so I can clear this shelf a bit more. And then this bottom shelf is just like my albums and my K-pop stuff, so that's also why I don't have a lot of space in my room to collect things. Let's move on to the next shelf. So the next thing I have in my room is this bookshelf, and the thing about these bookshelves is that they're good if you can lean it against the wall, but in my room, unfortunately, I have a vent right there, so, like, on the wall, so when I try to lean it back, there's, like, a huge gap right here, so I'm genuinely afraid of adding any more weight to the shelf. Otherwise, it's gonna topple over. I'm waiting for that day. I can't even add a piece of paper on this without like it almost toppling over. But here is how I organize my bookshelf and all that. So up here again, K-pop stuff, album stuff. And then this shelf right here is my Jenny Han shelf and my Lynn Painter shelf. So To All the Boys I've Loved Before is one of my favorite book series of all time, so I had to give it its own shelf. I have the special edition right here. And then behind it, I have the 3 books in the series. And then I have Better Than the Movies, Betting on You, and The Do-Over. And then I have Jenny Han's book series, Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian's book series, the Burn for Burn series, which I've done a full series recap on my channel. So please go check it out if you want to. It's a really fun time. The next book series I have on this shelf are the Magnolia Park series and the Twisted series. This is just a book my friend gave me. I'm an Aries, so she had to give me this book. I have the first 2 books in the Twisted series by Anna Huang, and these are the only Anna Huang books I will get in the physical copy. I've read the other 2 Twisted series. Anna Huang books are not my favorite, so I don't think I'm gonna collect any of her books anytime soon, but those are the 2 I have, and then I have all the Magnolia Parks books by Jessa Hastings on here, and so, yeah, it's like, I fell in love with Magnolia Parks. I really do like the book series, so had to give it its own shelf, and then we finally made it to the last 2 shelves that have books, and so, again, Jennifer Lynn Barnes is, again, one of my favorite authors, so had to give Inheritance Games their own bookshelf because she keeps making books for this series, and so I just thought it would be easier to put them on this shelf. And this is the only bookshelf where I've swapped the order of the books. So I've put the first book on the top and then put the latest book at the bottom, and that's just because I have the special edition of the Inheritance Games, and so I just thought it looked better at the top because I can show off the spine. And then finally on this shelf are my favorite romance books. So obviously had to add Emily Henry books here. My 2 Christina Lauren books that I really enjoy, my Abby Jimenez Just for the Summer, and then How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kwong. So my favorite rom-com books are going to be on this shelf. So once I fill it up, it'll be filled up, and that is literally this shelf. I cannot add any books to this shelf anymore, otherwise it will topple, it will fall. And then finally, I decided to invest in a TBR cart. Every booktuber has this cart from IKEA, but it's useful. It is truly useful, and so I'm using it as a TBR cart right now, and I don't think I'll be collecting a lot of books like now. Like, these are all of the either books I haven't read yet or books I've collected within the past few months or so. So it's like, I don't think I'll be collecting any books so far just because I have this many books to get through. Overall, it's been really helpful to have. And so the first 2 books I have are my current reads. So I have Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and then The Love of My Afterlife by Christy Greenwood. So these are my current reads right now. And then these are all the books I want to get to within the next few months or so. A lot of these are on my fantasy fall TBR. And then I also have like just romance books I never got to read during the summer. So Beach Read by Emily Henry is one that is like on my priority list because they keep announcing stuff about Emily Henry and live adaptations and all that. And I want to read all of these like Emily Henry books before the casting gets announced. Beach Read is like my next read after I finish Book Lovers. And then I have a novel love story by Ashley Poston. Everyone has been talking about this one, so I really need to get onto reading that. And then for fantasy fall, I really want to read Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And then I also want to read Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed, and then The Throne of the Fallen as well. I'm practically going to be using this as a bookshelf once I run out of space on my big bookshelf over there. I'll just end the video here. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, if it wasn't chaotic, again, I have a pretty small room, so I work with what I can work with. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if I gave you any ideas for how you organize your bookshelf, and maybe you have some ideas for me when I start collecting books again. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!